Season 6 of Clarkson's farm isn't approaching a crisis. It's already inside one. While cameras are supposed to be capturing life at Diddley Squat, the show's official social media has confirmed a complete production halt, a fresh wave of bovine tuberculosis, and rainfall so relentless the crew physically couldn't shoot. Sitting beneath all of that is a financial truth Jeremy Clarkson put into plain language himself. Without Amazon Prime Video, Diddley Squat Farm wouldn't have made it through 2025. Not our assessment, his. So today, we're going beyond the headlines, past the cancer remission story, past the Season 6 is confirmed post, and into the actual figures, the actual emergency, and the actual question the mainstream press keeps dodging. What happens to everything Clarkson built if Season 6 doesn't deliver? Let's get into it, because this is the line most coverage buried completely. Last month's headlines locked onto the cancer remission story. Fantastic news, genuinely, and we mean that. But tucked inside that same coverage was something far more consequential for the future of Diddley Squat. Jeremy Clarkson stated clearly that without the income from the television series, his farm would not have survived 2025. Let that settle for a second. 1,000 acres of Oxfordshire farmland, a farm shop pulling visitors from all over the country, a brewery turning out Hawkstone lager, a pub called the Farmer's Dog, and yet Clarkson confirmed the thing that kept all of it running last year was a check from Amazon Prime Video. He posted online that most farms don't have TV shows keeping them afloat. He wasn't playing it for laughs. He wasn't performing modesty for an audience. That was a man giving you an honest account of what British farming economics look like in 2025, and it tells you exactly what's riding on Season 6. Now let's look at why 2025 was such a disaster. Because you can't make sense of the Season 6 situation without understanding the 12 months that came before filming started. The year opened with what Clarkson called the worst harvest he'd ever witnessed. Heat waves, then drought, rolling across the United Kingdom. His crop yields were, by his own description, shocking. On a 1,000-acre arable operation, a failed harvest isn't an inconvenience you absorb, it's a financial emergency. Potentially hundreds of thousands of pounds in lost income across a single growing season. Then the rain arrived. Persistent, grinding British autumn rain that set back recovery planting and left soil conditions across the farm badly damaged. And then, directly on top of all that, bovine tuberculosis. On the 31st of July 2025, Clarkson posted that Diddley Squat had gone down with TB. His words were that everyone on the farm was absolutely devastated. Viewers of the show have heard TB mentioned before, but most people have no real grasp of what a bovine tuberculosis outbreak does to a farm financially. So let's lay it out properly. The moment a farm tests positive, the Animal and Plant Health Agency, APHA, is notified immediately. The farm goes into complete lockdown. No cattle bought, no cattle sold, not a single animal moves on or off the land until the herd clears a clean test. At Diddley Squat, that lockdown ran for 2 months. 2 months of zero cattle movement on a working beef operation. 2 months of feed costs, care costs, staffing costs, all continuing with no sales income to offset them. And it gets harder. The cow that returned a positive test was pregnant and carrying twin calves. That animal, Peppa, a cow the audience had watched grow up on national television, was legally required to be culled. Her 2 unborn calves went with her. Clarkson said he was absolutely devastated, and every word of it rang true. The bull, known as Endgame, an Aberdeen Angus Clarkson had paid £5,500 for, came back with an inconclusive result. Inconclusive doesn't mean clear. It means the animal is in limbo, retested, monitored, held. For a farmer, inconclusive can feel almost worse than a confirmed positive. It hangs over the entire operation with no resolution in sight. Now stack the numbers together. A failed harvest across 1,000 acres. A 2-month TB lockdown cutting off all cattle revenue. Livestock culled. An expensive bull sitting in quarantine. Hawkstone beer generating some income, but not enough to replace a farm's full output. A pub that only opened in August 2024, still building its customer base, still finding its rhythm. And on top of everything, Jeremy Clarkson's own health. He was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer during the filming of Season 5. He had surgery. He had complications serious enough to put him back in hospital. Filming was interrupted. The crew was running on empty. Clarkson acknowledged the team had been filming 2 or 3 days a week, every week, for 5 years with no proper break. The man was managing a struggling farm, a brand new pub, a brewery, 3 weekly newspaper columns, and a television series, while simultaneously going through cancer treatment. And now they're trying to get season 6 made. Here is where things get genuinely striking. The official Clarkson's Farm Facebook page confirmed season 6 in April 2026, and buried inside that announcement, almost as a footnote, was this detail. Filming had already hit several obstacles, including a break in production, positive TB testing, and sustained heavy rain earlier in the year. Read that again. Season 6 hadn't reached a broadcast date, hadn't aired a single frame, and it had already been hit by 3 separate production crises. A full filming shutdown, another round of TB testing coming back positive, meaning the disease that wrecked 2025 had followed them into 2026, and weeks of rainfall so heavy the cameras simply couldn't roll. For a show that runs on real, unscripted farm life, you can't manufacture good weather. You can't reschedule a TB outbreak when the whole farm is in lockdown. The show stops when the farm stops. Every week of lost filming is a week of crew costs, production costs, and contractual obligations to Amazon, ticking forward with nothing captured on camera to account for it. Now let's step back and look at the wider picture. Because this isn't a story about one farm going through a rough patch. Jeremy Clarkson is not a typical farmer. He has the backing of a long television career. He has Hawkstone beer generating revenue. He has a farm shop with genuine national pulling power. He has the pub. He has newspaper columns paying weekly. He has more financial cushioning than almost any working farmer in this country could imagine. And even with every one of those advantages, he told us straight that the Amazon money was what kept Diddley Squad alive. Hold that thought. If someone with Clarkson's resources, Clarkson's reach, and Clarkson's spread of income is saying the TV series is the lifeline, what does that tell you about the thousands of British farms that have none of those advantages? It tells you that British farming in 2025 and 2026 is in a state of genuine, serious crisis. Not a manufactured storyline, not a dramatic arc written for television. A real, daily financial emergency playing out on farms across this country right now. And most of those farms don't have Amazon turning up with a check. This is precisely why we do what we do at Clarkson Empire. Because behind every headline about Clarkson and his boots and his tractor, there's a real story about what British farmers are actually facing. And Clarkson has become the most powerful voice that story has ever had. Something worth saying clearly. Jeremy Clarkson has spent 5 years using his platform to bring the reality of British farming to an audience that had never engaged with it. Millions of people who would never pick up a farming publication, never attend an agricultural show, never think about a harvest. They care now because of him. Channels like this one exist because of that. We're here to go deeper, to pull out the numbers, to ask the questions the entertainment press won't touch, to make sure that when Clarkson tells his story, someone is there to explain precisely what it means. If you think that matters, subscribe to Clarkson Empire right now. Not because it benefits us, because every subscriber signals to YouTube that this kind of reporting deserves to reach more people. People who might finally understand what British farmers are genuinely up against. Clarkson has given British farming a voice it never had before. The least we can do is help that voice carry as far as it possibly can. Subscribe. Share this video with one person who watches Clarkson's Farm. That's all it takes. Back to season 6. Because here is what Clarkson's critics consistently fail to account for. The man doesn't stop. When West Oxfordshire District Council blocked his farm shop, he spent 2 years fighting them, and he won. When Amazon cancelled the Grand Tour, he built an entirely new television operation from a muddy field in Oxfordshire. When the harvest collapsed, he kept the cameras going. When he was diagnosed with cancer, he went into surgery and came out filming. In the closing moments of season 5, lying in a hospital bed the night before his operation, he looked directly at the camera and said that if everything went well, he'd see us for season 6, and if it didn't, he wouldn't. Take care, everyone. That isn't a man performing vulnerability for an audience. That is a man who built something he believes in, telling you he intends to defend it with everything he has left. And he did. He came through. The cancer is in remission. He described himself, in his own words, as without any doubt the world's luckiest man. And season 6 is filming. But filming under what circumstances exactly? Let's be specific. Season 6 is confirmed for summer 2027. That's later than the show's typical release window. The standard pattern has been a May or June arrival on Prime Video. Summer 2027 could mean June, could mean July, could mean August. The delay reflects the accumulated damage, the production shutdown, the TB lockdown, the rain, the exhaustion of a crew that has been filming at pace for 5 consecutive years. And underneath all of it, the simple fact that a farm in the middle of an agricultural crisis doesn't generate the same material as a farm running smoothly. What Season 6 will document has no real equivalent in British television. A farm battling an active bovine tuberculosis crisis. A farm owner returning to work after cancer surgery. A farm that its own owner has openly confirmed is financially dependent on the cameras continuing to roll. That isn't entertainment programming. That's a documentary about the condition of British farming, told through the most famous farm in the country. And there's a question that has to be raised. What happens to Diddley Squat if Clarkson's farm ends? Clarkson has been honest about this. He'll do a 6th series if there's a compelling story. He said that ahead of Season 5. The story arrived. Cancer, crisis, comeback. Season 6 is happening. But beyond that, he has acknowledged that 5 years of near-continuous filming has taken a heavy toll on his crew. He has said he would need a reason to commit to a 7th series. The farm shop will keep trading regardless. Hawkstone beer will keep selling. The pub will keep its doors open. But the television show isn't just an income stream. It's the engine that drives hundreds of thousands of visitors to a farm shop in Chipping Norton that would, by any reasonable commercial measure, be far too remote to pull that kind of footfall on its own. Without the show, the shop returns to being a local farm shop. Without the show, Hawkstone loses its most powerful promotional platform. Without the show, the farmer's dog loses the audience that makes people plan a specific trip to a country pub in Oxfordshire. The entire enterprise that Clarkson and Lisa Hogan have constructed is held together in meaningful part by the gravitational force of that Prime Video series. And Season 6 is the most important season this show has ever attempted. Drop a comment below right now. Tell us whether you think Clarkson's farm can survive whatever comes next. And tell us where in the world you're watching from. Your county, your country, wherever you are. We love seeing where this community reaches. Drop it below, right? Let's talk about what Clarkson does from here. Because if you've followed his career at all, you already know the answer. He adapts. When he couldn't move cattle during the TB lockdown, the farm shop kept its doors open. When the harvest failed, the brewery kept producing. When the council blocked his shop, he went through the planning system and won. When Amazon ended the Grand Tour, he turned 1,000 acres of Oxfordshire into the most watched farming program in the world. His entire career is evidence that a crisis is where this man becomes most effective. Season 5 captured one of the hardest stretches of his life. A farm in financial distress, a cancer diagnosis, a pub in its first turbulent months of trading, a team of people, Caleb, Lisa, Charlie, Gerald, all carrying the weight alongside him. And it produced the most emotionally resonant television the show has ever made. If that is what crisis looks like on screen, consider what Season 6 is going to deliver. Because the audience now understands the stakes completely. They've watched Peppa be culled. They've seen Clarkson in a hospital bed. They've heard him say he might not be back. And then they've watched him return, in remission, calling himself the luckiest man alive, and filming again. That isn't a television show anymore. That's a man who refused to let the crisis take what he built. And one final thing that deserves to be said clearly, because it matters. Clarkson's farm has achieved something no farming program has managed at anything approaching this scale. It has made 20 million people care about British agriculture who never gave it a thought before. It has made a generation of viewers understand what bovine tuberculosis actually costs the farmer who has to live through it. It has made people grasp why a failed harvest is a financial catastrophe, not a weather inconvenience. It has made people engage with planning regulations, soil quality, subsidy policy, supermarket pricing structures, and the sheer relentless difficulty of producing food in this country. Every single one of those things was invisible to the vast majority of the British public before Jeremy Clarkson put on a pair of wellies and started losing money on camera. And now, with Season 6 fighting its way through the most difficult production circumstances the show has ever faced, all of that matters more than it ever has. We'll be watching, and we'll be covering every development right here on Clarkson Empire. Tell us what you want us to look at next. The Hawkstone figures, the farm shop economics, the TB crisis spreading beyond Diddley Squat. Whatever you want to understand, leave it in the comments. We read every one. See you in the next one.